National Skills Commission released the Skills Priority List. This list had the top 20 most in-demand occupations in Australia. Is not released by the Department of Immigration, but it's a good indication of what occupations will be in demand in the future. And obviously, skilled migration and employer sponsorships are based on the occupations that are in demand. One of the occupations on the list was project administrator, so let's talk about it. It's on the short-term skilled occupation list, so it's available for a number of different visas, but the only ones that really lead to permanent residency is the 491, the 190, and also the 494. Other visas you see on the list are good, but they don't directly lead to PR. It's more of a stepping stone for you to find your pathway to permanent residency, so don't disregard them. But generally, to be eligible for this occupation, you must have had a relevant qualification, or if you don't have the relevant qualification, you need at least 3 years full-time work experience in lieu of it. If you do have the relevant qualification, you'll need 1 year post-qualification work experience as a project administrator. Project administrators have a responsibility to ensure projects within a company are actually completed within the timeframes, budgets, and other restraints. A lot of people are asking me, can you apply for permanent residency if you're in Australia on a student visa? Well, of course you can. If you meet the requirements and have the relevant documents, then of course you can apply. You don't need to be on a 485 visa or to have finished your studies to actually be eligible. Let me give you an example. So I do have a client who's in Australia studying a Master's of Information Technology. Overseas, back home in India, she completed a Bachelor's of Information Technology and actually had 2 years work experience as a software engineer. She came to Australia, started studying her master's degree, but was also working part-time as a software engineer. During our consultation, I said, well, we can apply right away. We don't need to wait. You meet the requirements for a skills assessment. You can get superior English. Let's lodge the 189 and 190. So we lodged it, and about, I think it was 6 weeks after, she was invited for the 190 visa, which is awesome. So that's just an example of how you can qualify. Over the last couple of months, we have been doing so many applications for employer-sponsored visas, in particular the temporary skills shortage 482 visa. And this is because Australian businesses are facing two major issues: a shortage of skilled workers in Australia as well as retention of their employees. To be eligible for this visa, first of all, you have to have an eligible occupation. So you'll need to check the occupation list for that. But just as an example, this includes chefs, cooks, software engineers, civil engineer, carpenters, as well as registered nurses. And in the last couple of months, with the announcement of the new aged care workers labour agreement, registered aged care businesses can now sponsor their employees who are working as support workers, which was previously not possible. Employers are usually willing to do these applications for their employees. And this is because it costs more to replace them than to pay for all the fees associated with sponsoring an employee. They have to recruit someone, then they have to spend the time and effort training them. That costs more than sponsoring an employee. In addition, they also get you for like 2 to 4 years before you apply for permanent residency. This is about the 491 or the 190 visa in Western Australia. There's been a slight update on the website, however, we're still waiting on more information. We've got some new information, however, on the features of the 2023 and 2024 program, so let's talk about it. So first of all, it looks like they're going to prioritise the applicants who are living in Western Australia, which is fair, and that's exactly what they did last year. They invited people who lived in WA first, then looked at interstate, then looked at overseas. However, this year, they're going to give equal invitation ranking for interstate and overseas candidates. So if you're living in South Australia or living overseas, you're going to be ranked the same. So it looks like they're going to have a critical list of occupations again. They're going to prioritise applicants who work in a WA industry with a critical demand for skilled workers. We don't know what this list is going to be, but I do think construction is going to be in there. Then lastly, there's going to be reduced employment requirements for candidates invited through a WA building and construction industry sector occupation. So that potentially could be civil engineers, construction project managers, maybe project administrators, construction estimators. And this is consistent with the video I made last week about grants for visa applicants applying in the construction industry. So it looks like there's going to be a huge demand for people working in the construction industry in WA, and they have really high chances of receiving an invitation.